Now let me bring you a hot and interesting news from website Toronto. Title is, Notorious Internet Girl Caroline Calloway Finally Delivers with Scammer. By Morgan BOCKNEK, Toronto Star, July 24, 2023. The much-mocked cultural phenom tells us about taking on her critics and self-publishing her first book. Caroline Calloway is in physical pain. She tells me she has been hand-gluing Italian patterned paper into the front and back covers of each copy of her new self-published book, Scammer, at a personal cost of more than $30,000, and some of the glue has gotten in her eye. I keep joking with my mom that my next scandal is going to be how poor the working conditions are in the factory, she says over FaceTime, propped up with pillows, because preparing all her books for shipping has really taken a toll on her neck and back. Calloway, a 31-year-old internet girl with a passionate, often hateful following, has done what everyone said she couldn't, finished her memoir and put it out into the world. She opened pre-orders back in 2020 and announced the title would be Scammer, reclaiming the descriptor she was branded with after failing to deliver on her promises. Case in point, she announced a national tour of creativity workshops, but only one happened, and the internet crucified her when the event didn't live up to the hype. Scammer has been delayed multiple times, to the point where one follower made notebooks with her proposed cover design, calling them the closest thing we'll get to the real thing. Fans like that, of which she has many, eat up her every move. And she obliges, documenting her life down to the minute like a love-to-hate-her reality TV star condensed down to Instagram. She first gained notoriety in 2014 by posting about her misadventures as an American student abroad at Cambridge University in England. She partied with the who's who of the school and dated well-connected young men, and parlayed the interest in this into a book deal with a $100,000 advance. Then, she had one of the most public friendship breakups of all time. Her former best friend, fellow writer Natalie Beach, claimed she had been integral to Calloway's launch to fame by ghostwriting some of her Instagram captions and part of her book proposal. She laid out her accusations in a 2019 essay in The Cut, titled I Was Caroline Calloway, that immediately went viral. By the time Beach's takedown came out, Calloway had already reneged on her book deal, saying it reduced female artists to stories about the boys they date. She paid back the advance by posting topless photos on OnlyFans while, dressed as literary heroines. She's found other creative money-making streams. Through Instagram, she's sold single tarot cards with her musings written on them for $15, cut and paste paper collages for hundreds of dollars each, and her used clothes and apartment wares. She sold a face oil branded snake oil at $65 for 1 ounce, which wound up with 4 Federal Trade Commission complaints and 1 to the Food and Drug Administration. Sometimes her fans complain their orders aren't delivered. Her response is that if they need a refund, she will always grant it. During the pandemic, Calloway left New York City and moved to be with family in Florida, only to be sued by her former landlord for leaving her apartment trashed and not paying her rent. A subreddit with more than 16,000 members followed the court case in real time. Ultimately, she reached a deal to pay back her rent in installments. This time, she engaged with her critics even more directly than usual. While filming a mini Vice documentary that aired in February 2023, Calloway called and talked to hundreds of people from the subreddit who had bonded over making fun of her. She says the conversations had very little to do with her at all, they just wanted to tell her about their own lives and problems. I see now that they get a lot of community out of cyberbullying me, she says. I wish they found it a different way. But, being a human is hard, and being lonely makes everything worse. I'm glad they have each other. I caught on to Calloway in early 2019 and never doubted she would have something interesting to say when she got around to writing her book. She fails, as we all do, she just does it out loud. But she has always stayed true to herself. I'm chaotic, she once tweeted. I love my work. My work is writing, painting, photography, posting on social media, and living inside a Truman Show of my own making, performance art. Most PPL do not consider what I make to be art. More chaos ensues. She tells me that what pushed her to finish Scammer was seeing Beach's own leaked book proposal, much of which was about her. I was just so angry, Calloway says, adding that she had been plagued by creative blocks, but was motivated to release her own book first. She beat it by 4 days. Beach's book of essays, adult drama, came out June 20th. In chaotic Calloway fashion, Scammer quickly proves to be only the beginning. She reveals some secrets fans have long wanted to know about. Yes, she did lie on her school transcript to get into Cambridge, but only teases other lore, insisting those stories will come in more detail in an eventual second book. You could see this as annoying or consistent with her long-standing marketing strategy. She calls it a daybook because it's meant to be read in an afternoon. I think it is a delicious, dark, and relentlessly entertaining read that should cement her as what she's always wanted to be, a writer here to stay. The book reveals the best scam Calloway ever pulled was at first selling a book about her male love interests. These appear in Scammer as barely auxiliary supporting characters. Its focal relationship is her friendship with Beach, and the anguish of its fallout. Calloway humanizes herself through telling her side of this story. She admits she was a bad friend to Beach, but gives context as to why she behaved the way she did. A major theme is her addiction to Adderall at the time, and what that does to a person, something that was missing from Beach's 2019 essay. She presented the symptoms of my disease, mania, prioritizing pills over people, as the smoky poison core of who I am, writes Calloway. At what point is lying by omission just lying? She doesn't try to clear her reputation, but describes the unsavory things she's done or had done to her in such a raw way that her experience becomes accessible. In her initial book proposal, she presented Beach's stable upbringing as her own, but explains now that she was in fact raised by a father who was a hoarder. Our possessions owned us, and they let us use the good furniture never, she writes. She outs herself as someone who does bad things and has bad thoughts. She writes of a long-held premonition that she will ultimately kill herself, not now, not soon, but definitely in my 60s. Maybe 50s, maybe 70s. Despite her historically loose relationship with the truth, this feels like radical honesty and helps transition her from unlikable caricature to complicated person with a complicated life that she's chosen to share. Women who live their lives online, like Calloway, are judged in the extreme. They're accused of orchestrating their narratives with Machiavellian precision while also being written off as mindless pretty girls who have failed upwards into success by accident. Calloway is all too aware that she's a prime example of this. At one point, she says, she became so unpopular that it actually ed with a reader's sense of self if they enjoyed me. She thinks she's since transitioned from a sad joke to ironic anti-hero. But ultimately, she's never needed us to like her. I always just want to make the best art possible that will outlive me after my death, she declares. I know it will. That finished the article. Don't forget to subscribe, I'll bring you the very useful and interesting news happening around the world.